As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized SEMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a SEMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study Exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Good evening, our professional colleagues, our friends of the Institute, and student members of our beloved Institute. And welcome you to another special episode of ICAN on Air, your great platform for learning, powered by Noble Institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I'm Tosin Akimomi, FCCA, and together with Fumi Olani, we are going to be anchoring this special episode for today. Fumi, how are you doing?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. It's a great day, and Tosin, it's great to see you again, and thank God for life.
Thank God, really. Thank God, really. And of course, while we are coming in, we have just seen we lost a doyen of accountancy, the epitome of accountancy itself, Pa Kintola Williams, in the course of the week. And of course, the ICAN president and council members paid condolence visits to the family. And that's the video we just saw while coming into the studio now. Of course, we all know, all about Pa Kintola Williams, the heritage, and all we could learn about accountancy. Of course, that's the epitome of accountancy and integrity itself. And that synchronizes well with the topic for this edition, accountability and transparency in the public sector. We pray God will rest his soul.
Amen.
So today, the 14th September 2023, we shall be considering another topic, accountability and transparency in the public sector. And of course, we have with us in the studio a distinguished professional, the Accountant General of the Federation, of course, the #1 accountant of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Mrs Oluwatoyin Madein FCCA. We shall be dissecting all the questions regarding the topic today. Let me quickly go back to Fumi to give us a brief profile of our guest on the show today.
So, Tosi, if I want to start describing our noble guest today, I would say, in honesty, we would say the first female accountant general. Her name is Oluwatoyin Madein, FCA, FCCA, and she's a doctor also. In a speech, she actually described herself as a servant leader. She has that personality and she looks for opportunity to impact positively in social change. So Dr. Oluwatoyin's Shakir and Madein impact has been characterized by a lot of things that she has done with the Federal Ministry of Finance. She's an indigene of Iperu Remo in Ikene local government, Ogun State. So proud Ogun. And she was the head of civil service of the Federation, and she was replaced by the former man. So right now she is the accountant general of the Federation, and I'm proud to say it's UPS1 for us, and we're proud of you. So definitely we have her in the studio today. She's also a fellow of the Association of Chartered and Certified Accountants, ACCA, from UK. She's a member of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, where she's an FCA member. She bagged the doctoral degree in management finance in 2020 from the Walden University, Minnesota in the United States. And she has received a lot of awards for distinguished character and also the expertise she brings on board from a lot of the things that she does. She also served as the executive officer in Ogun State Property and Investment Corporation, OPIC, Abeokuta, before joining the Federal Civil Service. So we'll like to bring on to the studio our very distinguished guests, Dr. Madein. You're welcome, ma.
Yes, we'll bring her in, but before we bring her in, we quickly want to go on some commercials. Like we usually say, partner with this program, let us take the business to a greater level. So let's quickly go on some commercials. We'll be right back shortly. Don't go away.
Tax from banks, pay your tax online. That is the easiest way, yeah, to pay your tax.
Companies income tax, value added tax, tertiary education tax, pay with tax program, for returns when due, pay your tax correctly, and get your e-tax clearance. Pay your tax online.
My better people for Obodo Nigeria, I don't bring better information come give una. To pay your tax now, it don't dey easy like ABCD. With this new Ogbonge platform where the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, don't bring come, then they call them Tax Promax. With this one, now for your house or office, you go just dey pay your tax. And if you want pay your tax, make you log into www.taxpromax.firs.gov.ng. This message, now the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, they bring them for now.
Pay your tax online.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome back to your show, our show, ICAN on Air. And as you can all see, we have our guest in the show, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Madein, the Accountant General of the Federation. Madam, it is a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Good evening to the very good audience there and to the anchors on the studio. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. It is a pleasure to have you once again. And of course, like Fumi earlier mentioned, being the first female Accountant General is actually a pride to the female gender and also to the Institute as a whole. So quickly, we do not have much time. The topic for today is accountability and transparency in the public sector. Our guests, please, let's quickly, our viewers rather, let's send in our questions as our guests in the house will be ready to answer those questions. So, madam, let's quickly go into the questions we have for you on the show. Accountability and transparency promote people, organizations, and nations. And as the #1 accountant of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, having you as a guest on the show today will actually give Nigerians and our global viewers the opportunity to learn and share from your wealth of experience. So, Ma, what is public sector and what are the features that actually differentiate public sector from private sector?
Thank you. Public sector is that part of the economy that is largely being controlled and managed by government and government bodies for the provision of public goods and services to the citizens of the nation. These public goods and services includes military, law, defense, diplomatic services, infrastructural development, healthcare facilities, power, security, policies, rules, guidelines. These are all the kind of services that the public sector provides. And in doing this, there are three arms that carries out the public sector. We have the executive arm, we have the legislative arm, and we have the judiciary. In the distinct features or differences that exist between private and public sectors. Public sector, like I said, is being controlled and managed by government and government bodies, while that of private sector is by individuals and companies. Also, funding of the public sector is from the public fund generated through taxes, fees, levies, sales of goods and services, and all the common assets and things that are used to raise funds for the public sector, while that of private sector are raised from the private individuals, companies, loans from banks, and from other sources. And also, because of the nature of the funding, the public sector is accountable to the citizens of the nation, while that of private sector is accountable to the owners of the funds and the owners of the company. Also, public sector is strictly guided by constitution, rules, laws, policies, guidelines, and other instruments, while private sector is based on understandings and rules guiding the attainment of the objective. Public sector is driven by provision of social amenities, while private sector is driven by profitability. By and large, public sector is the bedrock of the economy that determines how the economy of a nation runs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our special guest on the show today, public sector, you said, is the bedrock of the economy. Yes, you have mentioned about the distinctions between public sector and private sector, but we also believe that there will be some areas of convergence. So when we are talking about the growth and development of nations, what are the areas of synergy or convergence between the public and private sectors now?
The areas of convergence between private and public sectors they are all interested in creating welfare, good life for the individuals and the society at large. Both are contributing to the growth of the economy and the plans and all that it takes to achieve all that are set to be achieved. Also, both are contributing to the improvement in the monetary and financial stability of the nation, while they are all contributing to establish and run an enabling environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that succinct response, man. Now, today's topic is accountability and transparency in the public sector. So, what exactly is transparency and accountability in the public sector? And also, is accountability a responsibility? And how important is transparency in governance? Sorry, I had to pick 3 questions in one. So let me take it again. What is transparency and accountability in the public sector? And is accountability a responsibility?
Thank you. Transparency in public sector refers to the duty of governments and public servants to have clear, accountable, and truthful with the citizens and how they are handling the resources placed at their disposal. It is a state where there is nothing to hide. Action and transaction can be clearly seen to be what they are meant to be, while accountability refers to the obligation on the part of public officials to report on the usage of public resources and answerability for failing to meet stated performance. Accountability is driven from the concept of stewardship. As public servant, public resources are entrustment, and a steward is required after a period to account for the delegated assignment. Transparency is also referring to unfettered access by the public to timely and reliable information for decisions and performance in the public sector. So both are responsibilities. Transparency is a responsibility, accountability is a responsibility that is due for everyone charged with the public resources to have and discharge as at when due. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. I think I take that word, unfettered access. Unfettered access when we are talking about transparency. Thank you very much for that, Ma. Still on our questions, because our audience are ready today to listen to the number one accountant of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And Ma, as an insider, as one who is in the public sector, how true is the claim or assertion that public sectors are generally characterized by bureaucracies, by dilution of standards, and sometimes maybe it's marred with corruption? How true is that assertion?
I will start by stating that it is appropriate for us to understand that bureaucracy itself is not evil. Bureaucracy is intended to introduce uniformity and standardization of procedure and process. However, because system is subject to human operations, even a well-intended process can be abused. Bureaucracies are introduced also to reduce arbitrariness and fairness. Bureaucracy have 4 key characteristics: a clear hierarchy, specialization, a division of labor, a set of formal rules, and standard operating procedures. When bureaucracy is abused, then decision-making process becomes slow, productivity reduced, and agitation increases, which ultimately encourage corruption and abuse of power through office. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ma. I mean, we're learning a lot from what you have mentioned. This is what happens in the public sector, and you've been able to dissect all of those questions. We appreciate that, Ma. So for me, there was an occurrence last week while in India. I heard of the G20 summits that took place just this month in Delhi. So amongst several engagements, the president, that's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he held a meeting with the Gopik Hand Induja, the chairperson of the Induja group of companies in India. Mr. President also quoted to have said, I mean, a lot of people have said that we are here for business, and you know how assertive it can be. And he said to us, he said, I am here to personally assure our friends and investors that there's no bottleneck that it will not break. I'm just quoting him right now, but not verbatim. And in Nigeria, and it's also said that Nigeria will become one of the most conducive places on earth to make good profit and to create lasting jobs. So my question, Ma, is how are you and other public sector colleagues in Nigeria, how are you able to synergize to support Mr. President in achieving these great objectives that he has in mind?
Wow, that's it's a word that has been put out there, and all of us are ready to work towards achieving that. As the Chief Accounting Officer of the Receipts and Payments, and also the Chief Treasurer of the nation, we are currently reviewing our processes to identify lapses and loopholes in the payment and revenue generating systems. that may be causing infractions that leads to non-performance at the desired capacity. We are gearing towards providing a seamless situation for business transactions, leveraging on the executive order on the ease of doing business. Currently, most of the processes in our office are digitally driven to ensure achieving timely delivery of service and achieving the set objectives. We are collaborating with all the ministries, departments, and agencies to produce and provide reliable financial statements in compliance with IPSAS, which is an international public sector accounting standard, and regulations acceptable to the international communities, that we have access to our financial information and be able to take decisions based on the information to decide on their investment activities with Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very good response to that question. And I was still on that question because the question is still talking about how you support the agenda of Mr. President and especially his statement in India. Now, so there exist agencies of government whose objectives is to ensure transparency and accountability compliance in business. Ma'am, as a career and seasoned civil servant, what is your appraisal of their efficiencies and effectiveness? And are there rooms or opportunities for possible improvements?
Yeah, over the years, governments have put in place a good number of agencies to monitor and ensure compliance with transparency and accountability in Nigeria. A series of institutions have been created, including the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Economic Financial Crime Commission, Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, Code of Conduct Bureau, Whistleblowers Act, Fiscal Responsibility Act. They are all doing their different jobs. They are performing in different ways to ensure that corruption is nipped at bud and results are being shown for all this. And it is definitely impacting seriously on the corruption tendencies of the nation. And we have seen situations where the agencies have been making recoveries and also put stop to some of it because their presence alone have served as deterrent to persons with fraudulent intentions. So by and large, their presence cannot be underestimated. They are really performing and they are working towards ensuring a corrupt-free nation. Thank you.
Thank you for that reassurance, Ma. We appreciate coming from the process owner. We appreciate that. We are very much happy that you're giving us this feedback. I just want to recognize some of our audience. They are here and they will definitely have questions for you. Kule Omoboriowo will say welcome from Ondo State. Ni Olajide FCA, welcome. Monsurat Momodu FCA, welcome. And we also see Michael Oladega from Shimawa, Ogun State. You all can just send in your questions and our very own distinguished will respond to all those questions. So, Ma, before we take the questions from the audience, I would like to particularly ask you, because I know that you're aware that ICAN has been carrying out an assessment of the federal, of the state, and even local governments in compliance with their public financial management regulations under the ICAN Accountability Index. So over the past 4 years, the ICAN AI report has actually turned out some interesting assessment results. As the Accountant General of the Federation, what do you think is your view on public interest on this initiative?
I'm aware of the ICAN Accountability Index, and we have even been working with it because this very program is premised on the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and other public management fund finance legislation to enhance stewardship and the appropriation of public funds in the 3 tiers of government by assessing and rating performance using the following parameters: policy-based fiscal strategy and budgeting, budget credibility, management of assets and debt, control in budget execution, accounting, and legislative scrutiny. So this accountability index is a real weapon that is required to make all the 3 tiers of government work. And it will be appropriate and to say that using this index to manage the government may be very, very appropriate. And in going about this, that means all those that have the skill needs to be brought on board, trained, and encouraged to go out there and check whether these index are actually being found in those government organizations, because we need to have this done regularly to bring all the 3 tiers of government to their foot, to do what is needful, and to be able to impact on the citizens of Nigeria. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, Ma. And I want to take this word from you that accountability index is a weapon required to make all the 3 tiers of government work. So I will still stay on that accountability index, and based that on my next question, I want to now domicile it in your office. So how can the office now, Madam, collaborate with institutes and other stakeholders in leveraging the ICAN AI framework in order to improve accountability and transparency in public financial management?
I am remembering vividly when I received the 59th ICAN president in my office during his courtesy visit after my appointment. We actually discussed on how the Office of Accountant General of Federation can collaborate in getting the ICAN Accountability Index to work in the public sector. And one of the areas that we agreed upon was to train the public officials and support them to work with this index in checking the activities of the government, in running the activities of the government, and bringing out all the areas that needs to be properly reviewed and scrutinized. So training and supporting the public officers is a major area that the office will collaborate with ICAN to get the accountability index framework working. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much. So we'd like to go on a break. Remember, we're having an insightful session with our Accountant General of the Federation. I'll say the first female of its kind. We'd like to go on a break, and we'll be right back. Get your questions ready, because we are here to answer all of those questions. She's available to answer them, and she's willing to answer all of those questions, those salient things that you really want to know about. So we'll be right back after the break.
Security is key to national development and growth. No nation can be truly economically successful without peace and stability, or when its security is threatened. This is why we must perform our civic obligation of duly paying our taxes so as to provide the needed resources for government to secure our lives and properties. When we pay our taxes, government is provided with the needed resources to equip our security agencies for a safer Nigeria. The money we pay as taxes is used to purchase equipment and hardware, invest in intelligence and other sophisticated technology, as well as cater for the welfare of all security personnel. A secure nation is a prosperous nation. Nigeria is safer when we pay our taxes. FIRS, it pays to pay your tax.
You are invited to join us for the 53rd Annual Accountant Conference in Abuja with a captivating theme, Nigeria, Imperatives for Inclusive Development. It's an event you wouldn't want to miss. To register, simply scan the QR code displayed on your screen right now. Alternatively, you can visit our website for a hassle-free registration process. If you prefer a more personal touch, feel free to contact Gibson at 0803 356 9382 or Adams at 0806 790 8190 for any further information you may need. We look forward to seeing you at the 54th Annual Accountant Conference in Abuja.
I greet all my professional colleagues and stakeholders of ICAN. It's a great privilege for me to address you today as the 59th president of our institute. As we know, bridging socio-economic gap has become an economic and moral imperative as nations face widening inequalities across different indices. In Nigeria, the income inequality measured by the Gini coefficient indicates that one person's income in the top 1% of the population will conveniently pay 37 persons in the bottom 50%. The multidimensional poverty index stood at 63% in Nigeria in 2022, implying that about 133 million people face deprivation of various kinds, including access to basic health care, high quality education, affordable housing, and living below acceptable standard of living. This disparity has consequences for livelihood, security, safety, life expectancy, among others. It is against this backdrop that ICAN is leading the discussion on Nigeria imperatives of inclusive development at its 53rd Annual Accountants Conference. The conference taking place in Abuja between October 9 and 13, 2023 will take a deep dive into the theme and offer practical steps for addressing the challenges of inequalities. Our part as chartered accountants in inclusive development will be distilled at the program, positioning us to be better equipped on our roles in addressing this global concern. I invite everyone interested in birthing a new Nigeria to be part of this conversation at the conference. It is for accountants, finance experts, policymakers, political office holders, academics, regulators, and many concerned citizens. Let us develop working strategies for creating equal opportunity for both citizens and residents of our dear nation, Nigeria. I look forward to personally welcoming you in Abuja on October 9, 2023. It is going to be an enlightening, practical, productive, rewarding, networking, and relaxing session. See you there.
See you there. That's the word of the 59th president inviting you to the 53rd AAC coming up in Abuja from October 9th till October 13th. Now, have you registered? If you haven't, ensure you make your registration today. You have no excuse. There are various platforms. It's an hybrid program. You can be a virtual participant. You could be a young accountant. You could also be a non-resident participant and all of that. So quickly register today so that you can be part of the largest gathering of chartered accountants in Nigeria. Welcome back from the grave. We are still here with our special guest on the show, Dr. Mrs. Oluwatoyin Madein, the Accountant General of the Federation. And today we are talking about the topic, accountability and transparency in the public sector. Madam, you're welcome back to the studio.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on. Questions are now been coming in. We'll quickly take some questions from our audience. But before then, sometimes in the Nigerian National Assembly, committees review reports from the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation that contains indictments of public officers. How does your office address these indictments? And what kind of collaboration exists between your office and that of the Auditor General of the Federation in order to address corruption concerns?
Thank you for the question. Bordering on the relationship between Office of Accountant General of the Federation and the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, I would like to start by saying that it is the responsibility of the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation to prepare the annual consolidated financial statements of the federal government of Nigeria and present them to the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation for the purpose of auditing as required by law. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the Auditor General of the Federation to review the financial statements and report on them, raising queries on areas that requires more clarification, and then forward the final report to National Assembly Public Account Committee for them to review the report and also raise questions. Most times they even invite individual organizations that are mentioned, because this financial statement, the Office of Accountant General is just consolidating the report, while the responsibility for each segment still lies with various ministry, departments, and agencies. And that is why you see many times the Public Account Committee will invite MDAs that are mentioned in the report for them to come forward and prove themselves with evidences and all that are required to move the audited account forward. Thank you.
All right, Ma. Thank you so much, Dr. Mrs. Madein. I saw a question before now, and I wanted to read it out. Someone just congratulating you for the appointment. And someone else, yes, from James Naiju. Oh, yes. It says, congratulations, our amazing AGM.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, that's the former Accountant General. I was going to say that. Yes. And it says,
yes,
this is not a question, but commendation and comments on the subject matter. It says the AGF has started excellently well. Step taken in the right direction. Thank you so much. The father of accountants also saying, we say thank you and we appreciate you. And he's also saying, my appeal is for all the treasury accountants in all the levels of government to take the cue from a leadership position. And he says, best of luck. Dr. Naiju, we see you. Thank you so much. That's the former FRS chairman also. Yes, we see you and we say we appreciate you, sir.
He wears many crowns. He wears many crowns.
A lot of crowns. Thank you so much for being part of today's program. So I want to digress a bit from from what we've been talking about. It's been serious talk all along. I want to go into gender and the Nigerian girl child. I recall that on the 19th of May in 2023, the former President Muhammadu Buhari, he actually appointed you first female Accountant General of the Federation of Nigeria. So how did you receive the news and how did you feel about the appointment? And what can you really say about taking the Nigerian girl child education and development seriously, ma'am?
Wow, thank you. The announcement of 19th May 2023 really make a lot of difference in my life, because it was a news that really gladdened my heart and the hearts of many people around me, and even those that never know me, they rally around me and offer their words of appreciation to what has happened. I thank the SY president for that, and I thank God who made it possible. Then going by how the issue of appointment and all that, God has really taken care of that. But the area I want to talk about is how the government is handling the issue of girls' education. Like I will start by saying that while growing up as a girl child, I didn't experience any discrimination against girls' education in my area. Everyone has equal opportunity to education in the community I emerged from. That is that part of the country, Ogun State, let's say Ijebu, for that matter, we all have all the children have equal opportunity, whether you're a girl, whether you're a boy. But I later come to realize that in some cultures, it was not that straightforward, that girls' child are being denied education using different reasons to make that happen, and not allowing the girl's child to achieve their aim. And this has led to finding that some, when they have eventually found their way out, maybe outside such culture, that's when they begin to pick the education up, that they find a way to wherever they find themselves. But these days, I can authoritatively say that government is really doing a lot in ensuring girls' child education. And we can see that in series of programs that are being lined up, are being brought into the system to ensure that we have, with Ministry of Women Affairs, they are canvassing for this day in, day out. And likewise, the affirmative action that was established some years back, that women should be given 35%, not less than 35% in every area of government, is also working towards achieving that. And because of the interest of the government to ensure this, because they can see that most at times, girls' child that are able to get up and run to that level, they bring so much to the nation. Like a proverb says, educate a child, I mean a girl, and you are building a nation. So it is really evidence. We start talking about those that we can there are evidences that we can example that we can point at. See Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, like it was posted a few days ago, that even the president of America became a photographer because of her, was taking selfie with her. Can you imagine that? How many of our men have gotten to that stage? Like it is now obvious that no child should be left behind when it comes to education. Everybody should be given equal opportunity. And I want to assure you that girls are very, very resilient when it comes to education. I can use myself as an example. There are so many reasons why I could have just dropped out of school, but because of that resilience, I always find myself being dogged to get through with it. So no one should do that again, and government is also not allowing that. And I'm very sure a series of regulations are being put in place. Like in some, even when it comes to admission, there are rules that will ensure gender equality. Even when it comes to appointment, there are rules too guiding that this gender balance must be maintained, and they are all working towards ensuring that girls' child are given the right place to emanate and do and achieve their aims and goals in life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. I think that particular statement on the president of America taking picture, that's a good one. Women will be there too one day, man. We'll be there
Amen.
too one day. Okay, man. So let's now go to our audience and take some of the questions that they have for you. So we have Olalekan Salami saying, Madam, what do you intend to do in sustaining the quarterly budget performance, which all the states were publishing during the recently concluded SFTS program? Hello, man.
Did you get the question, man?
Come again, sir.
Okay, thank you, man. So, okay, Lekon is asking that what do you intend to do to sustain the quarterly budget performance, which all the states were publishing during the recently concluded SFTAS program?
Like we have all agreed that performance report is germane to any organization both at national and subnational level. So sustaining this is being done at every level, and there is even a stage like the federal allocation committee is a body that comprises of the federal government and the state government, where series of activities are going on to ensure that they are peer reviewed when it comes to performance. There are ways of coming together, collaborating on things that has to do with accountability. So these are the ways of sustaining it. FAC is already a body that is handling all that, and there is no way, there is no going back. FAC is doing that and is doing it well. In the recent past, there have been a collaboration coming, even accountability. The finances of finances, issue of finance.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So we're going to take more questions from the audience, but before we have that displayed on the screen, but I'll particularly want to ask you a question around public sector. So, you know, there's some people in the private sector, they definitely don't know what happens in the public sector. And I have a question here that says, it has been severally rumored that the Nigerian public sector has high quality manpower, but interagency rivalry is one of the principal reasons that are responsible for lack of performance, falling standard, and even corruption in the public service. What is your view about this, Ma?
Well, just like every other market where you have different players, definitely competition will come in. But as it was rightly put, the public sector has very tremendous manpower and skill. And I wouldn't want to accept that interagency rivalry exists. But what I can say that sometimes where agencies are created and end up have dual or duplicated responsibilities, which may be an issue. But we can all attest to the fact that in the last few years, there have been efforts to look at these agencies and see where the functions are being duplicated, and suggestions were raised on what to do in tackling that. So if like the Orosoye report is the one that we are all hearing about. So when the recommendations of that report, when they are implemented, many of these rivalry will fizzle out. All
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Sorry that's a glitch there. Oh, Rosul Anxious is asking the question. So the last time financial regulations was reviewed was in 2009. That's 24 years ago. How soon will it be reviewed in tandem with current realities? And is it possible to set time for periodic review? Rasul Taiwo, FCA, is asking the question, ma'am.
Yes, it is a fact. 9, and which is quite a long time. Efforts have been on in the last 3 years to review the financial regulation, and even before the end of the last administration, a draft was submitted to the Minister of Finance, and it was even presented at the Federal Executive Council, and after which it was referred to the Civil Service of Federation for further review. So activities are ongoing to review that are also reviewing the financial regulation, and very soon it will be completed. To have a set time for periodic review, yes, it is possible. We can agree. That depends on the kind of law that changes that are coming up regularly, especially in the financial sector. This regulation needs to be reviewed 4 years. Now say that at the end of for to see
Thank you so much, Ma, for that. So I particularly want to ask a question. I mean, we're looking at the time, and I know we have a lot of questions from the audience, a lot of them bordering around transparency. But yes, you've been able to answer some of those questions. But considering your track record in academic, in the professional, and also in the public circles, assuming you're invited by Mr. President today to advise him on his economic team on the entrenchment of accountability and transparency in the public sector, what will be your advice, ma'am?
Job here the work federation, like it that should this a monitoring institution where there's a see to the end of
Yes.
Okay, so see, yes, I think the network through. Yes, I think the network through Dr. Mrs. Out of the studio. But from all that we have listened to, I think it's an interesting one to know that government is thinking in the right direction. And I know that with all the credentials that she has and all of the trajectory, I mean, there's been a lot of trajectory, positive trajectory, and I can see that there'll be changes in what we call accountability of what the public sector currently does. Yes.
Certainly. I agree with you. And you can also hear that from the formal AGF, Dr. Nayeju also confirming that she has started on a very good note and also giving her compliments that she should continue the good work she's doing in that office. Then let's quickly take some announcements. Then when she could be back, we can take a final question of that. Okay, I think she's coming back to the studio.
You're welcome back, ma.
So sorry for the unfriendly network with no.
The network happened.
Exactly. Okay, ma'am. Finally, ICAN is always open to ideas that would positively advance the growth of our members, the accountancy profession, which you and I belong, and the Nigerian business environment. Please, ma'am, what is your suggestion on the need for continuous education of ICAN members and the public on accountability and transparency?
Well, in this 21st century, it is expected that accountants should live the future now. What I mean is that the space, the environment is so vulnerable to change, and this change is becoming so constant. So it is quite very necessary that all the professional accountants that we have now, they need to continue to work hard to study what the situation is getting to, because changes, like we all know, is constant, and it is appropriate for anyone that doesn't want to find himself outside or not being relevant to keep on training himself, developing himself, studying the environment, engaging even in all other activities. Like today, it is not going to be business as usual. Nowadays, no accountant prepare accounts using all these analysis book, except those that are still coming up. So it is expected that accountants must be very sound. Computer skill must be, ICT skill is quite needed. So every accountant must engage in that, and also to ensure that they know the rules that guides the profession. Because where you find many accountants that are found wanting just because of lack of understanding of the rules and regulations. So it is appropriate that I will advise ICAN to continue doing their best. This CPD, that is continuous professional development, I want to see a situation where they will even subject members to be submitting this online, apart from participating in a physical training session. There can be, because I'm experiencing that as also ACCA member, at the end of each year, you are made to go into your portal and complete the area that you will report your experiences, all that you have done, that you believe will earn you continuous membership.
All
so
right,
I think I can as well take that. I mean, look into that and see that apart from attending, because these attendance at a physical CPD, most times some will register, will not even stay. Some know that once they register, they are sure of their units. But where you are made to report, you will crack brain before you report. And you know that sometimes they will even ask you for the evidences. So you will not just report something you cannot back up. So I will want to suggest that for ICAN to emulate.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ma. So we'll let the Institute know. Definitely there are online trainings. So it's not all physical, but yes, we'll take that advice. We want to say thank you so much, Ma. It's such a great honor to have you on this platform. We'd like to say thank you so much. You are indeed a dignitary, and it's great to have you here. We want to say next time, we hope that when we call you, you definitely come and represent what you represent in the office where you belong right now, Ma, and we'll say thank you so much for honoring us. So
thank you so
much, Ma.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ma.
I appreciate you all, and I wish you all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Ma. Have a good evening.
So Fumi, our time is fast spent, but let's quickly take one or two announcements. Tomorrow, there will be a free webinar on FRCN Amendment Act 2023, implications for businesses, accounting firms, and professionals. Tomorrow, September 15, 2023. The time is 10 a.m. Go ahead and register today. It has 2 credit points. And of course, our 53rd AAC, Imperatives for Inclusive Development, the largest gathering of chartered accountants in Nigeria. Please go ahead and register. Register young accountants. Of course, it's just a token for you at 60,000 naira. You could not make it down to Abuja physically. Why not go ahead and take the advantage of the virtual participation at a token of 75,000 naira? But however, we need you in Abuja to be there physically. And that will be all about the show today. Our time is fast spent. Fumi, we want to thank all our viewers.
Yes, we want to say thank you to everyone that joined today. We appreciate you. And you can tell that today was a time well spent. So meet with us next week, same time, Thursday, 6 p.m. Tosi and I will be here to take on all of the questions that you have regards to the accountancy and everything around our economy and all of that. Thank you so much for being here, and I wish you a good evening.
Thank you. And myself, Tosi Akiomi, also wish you a pleasant evening. Have a good night.